So we were talking before the show about your buddy down at the APP getting in trouble for delamination. Just if you just had to say in one word or the other, does it matter or does it not matter?
It's impossible to say. You can't just use one word here. I'm sorry. I have to. Delamination matters. Delamination matters a lot.
Okay.
And it matters for a lot of reasons. Like if you use a delaminated paddle, I mean, anybody at home, you've probably used one or at least seen one.
Yep.
And the power difference is monstrous. I mean, like, Dylan Frazier, I watched him almost put away an overhead with one once. Dylan Frazier, have you seen him in an overhead?
I've seen him.
And he almost put one away. So it's and it's not right. I mean, when I saw that happen, I was like, no, this isn't
right.
And I think that one of the biggest things is in pickleball, especially in doubles these days, is power. And I think delamination power is more important than spin or grit, especially in doubles.
Yep.
People were talking about the whole grit issue last year and how grit was like getting too high. This is way more important. It matters way more. I mean, people are like, you could lose an eye out there, and it's it's not good. So my friend Dave, he was using a delaminated paddle, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe,
it was been like a week and a half that he had it. So usually it takes like a couple weeks, 3 weeks for a paddle to delaminate. And I was like, Dave, don't let them just take it from you if they can't test it. Because at the APP, I mean, they've got like 4 people working there, right? Like it's Ken.
Not the same as the PPA. They don't have the on-site. Well, even PPA just had on-site testing this last tournament. It wasn't like a regular thing, right? Beyond the grit testing.
They don't even know. I mean, the APP is like Ken Herman and like 2 of his buddies from high school that are volunteering. Okay. That's what they do. And I'm like, don't let them bully you and take you out of the game because your paddle sounds maybe a little off. And maybe it was delaminated, maybe it wasn't. But how many of those paddles at that tournament probably were delaminated?
Yeah,
a heck ton, right? So
you can cuss here. It's fine with me.
Okay,
you're good.
I wasn't sure, but what I am sure about is that it was BS. He ended up winning his second round anyway, so he is in the quarterfinals right now against Brendan Long and Alex Truong. So yeah, we're gonna hope he hits every ball to Alex and wins that match.
Well, good luck to him. Go Dave. All right, so let me ask you though about this. I've heard, so Leah's thing was like a big deal. And I'm curious, like she said she could hear it right out of the gate. Travis Rettenmeyer said the same thing about Tyson. Although like I'm a big personal Tyson fan, like it's hard for all the content I watch of them. I know you play with them, like you're probably really close buddies. It's hard for me to believe he would even play with something that he's been in the game for so long, but can you really hear it right out of the gate? And for a fact it's a problem? Because now Salome is saying the PPA came back and said her paddle wasn't delaminated. You don't have to get into politics, but I'm just curious, like, is it black and white? You can tell?
Yeah. It's black and white. You know if it's delaminated. You can hear it. It's obvious, especially a pro, you can feel it. When you hit the ball and it doesn't feel the same way that it felt yesterday, like it's impossible to not know. That's the real question. Like it's almost even worse. Like I would never say, oh, I didn't know, because that's even a worse thing. Like, oh, are you that stupid? And I mean, Salome's paddle, it passed by like 0.01. I think that's BS. I think it was probably delaminated. I mean, I don't know who's even like arbitrarily deciding what amount is too delaminated. Because if it fails by that tiny of a margin, then it was delaminated-ish. I don't know.
It's binary, right? It's 0 or 1. It's delaminated or not.
It's failed by like a shit ton. Tyson's was really delaminated.
Oh, really? Did that like come out publicly, or is it like hush hush? I feel like I didn't see that information.
Yeah.
I always get that. Okay.
I don't know. But it's hush hush. I think they're keeping it low key. But his failed by a ton. It was so much so that I think it was a little weird. I mean, but he put it away, right? Like it failed.
He put it away after the first game.
Yeah, he took it out. So I think it was maybe like an equipment. It was just an equipment issue. I don't think he would do that on purpose.
Would you suggest that is the solution? Like, instead of worrying about this maybe we still do post-match testing, but if players can see this is happening, I know there's a bit of like a ethical thing here, but if everybody's hearing it, if a player sets it down and just plays with something else, what do you think is the best case? Like, what would you do in that situation? What's the way to go about it? Because there's points there that could have been won in a mid-match with a delaminated paddle. So is it a fault? What do you do here?
Case of Tyson and Travis.
No, in general, let's say the future, like let's say it's mid match, you're playing doubles, we're in the third game, and like it's popping,
Yeah.
and yeah,
No,
I mean we don't want to disqualify them out of the gate because it happened mid match, but what do we do here?
well, I think if it delaminates in the middle of the match, I think you would notice. I think right away it would sound a little bit different. So then you would probably you'd know, either I would notice, the opponent would notice, or the player would notice, and then it goes away. But if they come out with it, like in the Tyson and Travis situation, where it did affect the match, and that situation's probably happened before, then I think Travis should move on, right? I think that it's
Yeah.
kind of cut and dry. I think that's kind of the only solution. And it's tough. It's not, I'm not saying it's like Tyson did it on purpose, but it did affect the match. That's just how it goes.